Welcome back to another The Business Bull podcast. My name is Thomas Chiella, and I am going to be your host for tonight. This is episode 5, How to Back Up Your Business. We get asked this question pretty much every day regarding, accountants and honestly just businesses in general. If a catastrophic incident were to happen, or if a computer were to fail, how am I best? What's the correct way for us to back up our systems? Our files and folders, and it's great. I gotta admit, I've seen some pretty hilarious ways of people backing up their information. It worked, but there's no way of actually knowing if it did work until they actually needed it, in which case it probably wouldn't work. So we're just going to jump right on into this. First, we're going to start talking about local backups. I have seen this countless amounts of time, especially with QuickBooks, where people, once a week will, back up their QuickBooks to a USB stick or an external hard drive via a USB cable, and then they take this device home. And whenever I'm on site and I'm talking to these clients and they say that they take the stick home, I say, that's cool. Okay, so you take it home. What date do you take it home? And usually they say every Friday or whatnot. And I said, oh, that's cool. And then what, do you bring it back on Mondays? And they're like, no, we wait until Friday. Every Friday we bring it in. And then we take it home that night. And I put it in my safe or whatnot. Okay, that's cool. And you do this like clockwork. Oh, yeah. I'm like, wow. And that's really cool that you're able to do that. You must have like a notification in your calendar or something. And they just go, oh, yeah, I'm really a stickler. And like, why are you so into this? I'm just curious. Am I doing something like that good? And I said, well, today's Wednesday, right? Yeah. The USB stick that you use, or the external hard drive, is it red? Yeah. Is this your USB stick or external hard drive right now that's plugged into the computer? Yeah. So if the place would have burned down today or tomorrow, would you have your information? No. And I say, okay. And then they go into, that's never happened before. It's really none of my business how often it happens and how often it does not happen. Whenever you call someone like me into an office to get the best solution, my job is to find out if your solution is actually working. And if it's not, come up with a better one. If it is working, great. But if I've already found a way to get around it within, 5 minutes, or even in that case, it was like 30 seconds, there's an issue. For this one client in particular, it was about a year or two ago, where this exact thing happened. They kept telling me that they took it home every Friday and they brought it back every Friday. They brought it in every Friday and then took it back home, put it in their safe. And then it turns out they no longer did it. They let their office manager do it. Well, the office manager didn't know he was supposed to be taking it home. He thought it was just a backup. So he leaves it in the computer and he backs up every Friday. I don't know how that communication did not get across that you have to take it home for it to become an emergency backup or offsite or something. But he never put two and two together of, if the computer gets stolen with that stick in it, you just lost all your information. If you have a fire and it takes out that computer, you just lost all your information. If the computer's on, you get struck by lightning and it causes a really bad surge and it goes through all the electrical components of the computer, you just lost your information. It didn't occur to him, and I felt really bad. But we were able to get them on one of our other solutions that made it so that it wasn't a human error issue. The other issue that we have with local storage, with only having local storage, is that you really don't know if that information is truly being backed up and is is actually working unless you physically test it out. When I say that, I don't want to say IT professionals don't always get it right, but there are times whenever computers just don't back up correctly, and you really don't know until you go to test it. So we found a way around that so that we can always know if it is working correctly or not. But if you just back it up to USB drive or external hard drive, it's not gonna, you're not gonna know. USB hard drives and external hard drives, USB drives and external hard drives are not meant to do consistent backups all the time. They're meant to just be a backup. But if you're consistently using them like as a NAS or as a network storage device, they are not meant for that. There's other drives that are more expensive that are meant to be used on a consistent basis that will not fail. And if they do fail, you have multiple drives, and so in case one goes, you still have the other ones. Again, this is why you come to us, someone like me, or someone like my company, for IT solutions. So the other way that you can back up your systems is cloud-based. And I'm already laughing because in my notes, the first one that pops up is Dropbox. The second one is Google Drive, and the third one is Amazon. And the reason I'm laughing is because I've had so many people attempt to back up their QuickBooks to Dropbox only to find out that they lost their entire system. And the reason for that is there is an inherent issue with backing up to these cloud platforms. Whenever you back up these systems, in order to back it up, you have to store the file in that cloud drive that's now on your computer. The problem is you're currently in that folder. If you were to close out and then open it back up, at that point in time, that folder or that file is now being uploaded to the cloud. And sometimes when you open it back up, it opens it back up in a read format only and doesn't always tell you. So you can be going the entire day and going about your business and entering this check, putting this check, you go to close out and you get an error that it can't save. And then you start flipping out. Well, then you go ahead and save it to desktop, but then you forget, and now you're working off of your desktop and not off of something cloud. This has happened so many times. It really has. It's not... you can probably Google it, and it populates with all these errors and how people constantly say it's not their fault, they didn't know, and I'm pretty sure QuickBooks actually says don't do this anymore. I'm pretty sure. Now, if you're doing just files and folders, documents, photos, videos, Dropbox and Google Drive isn't that bad. The only problem is going to be sharing it. So with Google Drive, unless you have Google for Business where it has a team drive, you're going to have to share everything, and then there's a lot of extra settings that you're going to have to do. It's a little more difficult than it has to be, but they do that for security purposes, which is what I like. Then you have Dropbox, where it's really simple to share a file, but they both have one inherent issue, and that's the same thing as QuickBooks. Say I have a Microsoft Office document open at my office that I currently have open from Google Drive. Okay. I leave it open at work and decide when I get home I'm going to start working on it. I open it up, just do my stuff. When I go to save, it now says there's already a file open. I can't save. It's read only. Sometimes it lets me save to like the desktop or the computer. Sometimes it doesn't, but then I forget, or people forget, and then you no longer have a cloud storage device. Or maybe now it's at your home computer. There's no way to delete the other file on the Google Drive because it's open somewhere else. It's currently being used. What do? It's little things like this that, if you've watched my episode 4 about, if you save 10 minutes, if you're able to save your employees 10 minutes per day, it's $650 per employee per year. That's what's going on here. We want it to be simple. We want it to be easy. We want to take the stress out of it. That's not just us, okay? That should be every IT professional. It just so happens that we do that, and we strive to do that every single time. It's one of my pet peeves. So what do? Okay, so local storage probably isn't best bedfellows. It's not best bedfellows, by the way. And then like Google Drive and Dropbox has issues. What do? There's a couple of products that we offer. One of them is, it's on the expensive side, but it's on the expensive side for a reason. I'm going to just tell you the price, and then I'm going to give a pause so that you can, get back into your chair, because you're probably going to fall over. And I say that because, Dropbox is like $99 a year. I think Google Drive is, like $5 to $15 a month per user, whatever. The thing I'm about to tell you about is $200 per month. And it's only for 1 terabyte. Okay, so your tongue is out. Let's go ahead and roll that back up. If you need to get some water or some tea or, a beverage, go ahead and, clear out your throat, get it nice and moist, because we need to get back to this. $200 per month. This is what it does. We set up a computer or a NAS drive. Set up a computer as a NAS drive or something. And every computer in the office works off of that one piece. We use another piece of equipment that then takes an image or backs up all the files from that one main computer. And it not only pumps it to the cloud, but it keeps a backup on site. Now, why is this cool? You're getting what you pay for. If we only did a cloud-based solution, if something happened to said computer or said files, we then have to now log into cloud and then wait for it to download. If we really do have up to 1 terabyte of information, depending on what the connection speed is at that time, that's a long time. I don't know if you've ever tried downloading just a simple program or a video. Those are like gigs. We're talking like thousands of those. Like 1,000 gigs equals a terabyte. So it depends on how much information you have first off, but that's not the. So if we have a local storage device, then what we can do is actually spool up that computer in a virtual environment, so that while we are repairing that computer that went bad, you can still run everything off of our backup locally. God forbid a fire happened or someone stole all the equipment. We can then pull that information from the cloud. If you have a fire, you have a burglary, most case scenarios, you're not going to need it within 2 hours. You're going to have a couple of days. It's just, you're going to have to get things together. During that time period, we can download it. It is a catastrophic scenario, but at least you have it. If you didn't have it in the cloud, you wouldn't have it at all, even though we did a nice local backup as well. So it's $200 per month. You do not own the equipment. We own the equipment. We do that for a couple reasons. One, we want our clients to know that we have skin in the game. If for some reason that hard drive goes that's inside of that piece of equipment, or if that piece of equipment stops working, we are going to come out and we're going to fix it. We have to make sure all the time that it has tests run on it to make sure that the data is good. We run those tests. Essentially, instead of you just paying us for a solution and us installing it, we now have skin in the game. Quite literally, the equipment's ours, the data is yours. We do not own the data. Okay, that's just that type of system. Now, this is also cool for like doctors' offices, schools, and whatnot, government facilities that have a server, like a legitimate server with a Microsoft domain, because if it goes down, sometimes you can't do anything, or you're very much limited if that server is the only piece that you have. Now, when we were going over pricing, my business partner Charlie was actually saying, holy cow, all we have to do is install a second server and the client's good. And I said, okay, that's great. Charlie, how much does a server cost? Well, they vary. I'm like, okay, well, just how about we say $4,000? Okay, that's fine. Yeah, that's a good price. Okay. So you're talking about a second computer now, second server. Yeah. Okay, so you just doubled the price of the equipment just for the servers, not including anything else. I said, you're going to have to do the software just right so that they balance, the servers balance. He's like, oh, yeah. I said, okay. So it's like going to take like an hour or two. He's like, I wish. You're talking like a day or two, depending on some of these infrastructures. And I said, okay. So 8 to 16 hours of labor. He's like, yeah. Charlie, you're talking about a $10,000 system. Oh. I said, yeah, $10,000. So if they were to buy a system for $4,000, remaining is $6,000, you divide that by 200, that's 30 months. That's almost 3 years. I hate to tell you this, but a lot of servers, the way technology is going, they're obsolete within 3 to 4 years. That's just the way it is. You used to be able to buy a server and they last you for 6 to 10 years, but the way they're going, they're obsolete in like 3 to 4. It's just the way it is. And he's like, oh, so $200 per month. That's actually a really good deal. I said, yeah. So that's what we do. Price varies per location, depending on what their labor rates are, depending on what kind of equipment they're using. Some people may allow you to hold the equipment, to purchase it. We don't. We want that equipment. There might be a time later on down the road where we get a big enough client where they have to own it just due to legality reasons, but the equipment's not cheap. So we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. The other one is just a local and cloud file-based system. And for 1 terabyte, I believe it starts at $60. And what happens is that it's very similar to Dropbox and Google Drive. However, and I will say this, however, what we do is we set it up like the other one, where we set up one computer to be like the main NAS, and then we pump it to, we use another device to pump it to the cloud and also locally. In this instance, what we do is actually use the main computer, and then we pump it to the cloud as a catastrophic backup, and then we pump it to an external hard drive. Now, you're probably thinking, Thomas, you just went on a rant about external hard drives at the very beginning of this podcast, and now you're saying you can do it. There's a difference. The external hard drives that you guys are going to do are the ones that you can buy at Amazon, Best Buy. They're 1 terabyte, Western Digital, Seagate. They're $60. I'm not talking about that. This is a legitimate NAS hard drive. They're way more expensive. It's a 3.5 inch, not a 2.5 inch hard drive. So it's actually built to hold information for long periods of time and on a consistent basis. And then the enclosure we have it in is metal. complete metal. It's legitimate. It has its own power source. And then we back up stuff to there as well. Now, in this case as well, we own the equipment. In case that hard drive ever goes bad, we want to make sure our clients know we have skin in the game. So if that hard drive ever goes bad, we're there to replace it. If for some reason the cloud doesn't work, we have to figure out why. That's just included in that service. Now, we'll let you know this from episode 2 or 3 where we talked about return on investment. Each of these has a return on investment time period for us. We require a 1 or a 2 year agreement for some of these, depending on how big of a system we do. We don't make money for X number of months. After we make money, after that time has passed where the equipment is now paid for, a percentage of that is now what we consider margin or profit. But if the product and the service doesn't work and we have to go on site, we lose money. And so then it takes X number of months to then recoup that. So a lot of IT companies will want to just throw in all this equipment in there, and then if something breaks, they always want to charge you labor to fix it. So their whole goal is to use the cheapest product possible, charge you the most money, and then when it breaks, you get to pay for them to fix it again. We're trying to go a different route. And I say that, but I know a lot of other IT companies around the country are trying to do this too. We're trying to be different from the past, 4 years. We're trying to make it different. We do this locally only because we do offer the on-site section. I wish we could do it nationally, but there's no way. So if you're in the Florida area, let us know. I think that's it. So we went over USB sticks, we went over external hard drives, Dropbox, Google Drive, Amazon. We went over what we offer as well. Hopefully this has helped you out. Please let me know in the comments. Unfortunately, I can't tell you exactly what we use because it's proprietary. It's what we do. It's what our solution is. But I will put down pricing of what we charge and for what it covers. Again, this is not to try to sell our service because this is a national podcast, and we're only selling our services in the local area. So yeah. I hope everyone has a good night, or, if you're listening to this in the morning, I hope you have a fantastic morning. This is Thomas Giella, host of The Business Bull, episode 5, How to Back Up Your Business.